Have you ever found yourself just lying awake at night, replaying something someone had said about you? Maybe it was a rumor, maybe it was criticism, and maybe it was a completely false accusation. And no matter how hard you tried, you just couldn't stop thinking about it. As a therapist, I've learned that one of the biggest thieves of peace isn't always what people say about us, it's how much mental space we allow it to occupy in our mind. And this week, I was reminded of that lesson in a very, very powerful way. Because while watching Barack and Michelle Obama open the presidential library, I witnessed a grand opening, but it was more than that. It was a master class in protecting your peace and staying focused on your purpose. Let's talk about it. Hi, and welcome to Ask Lois the Relatable Therapist. My name is Lois Godot, and I am a licensed mental health therapist. And on this channel, I blend current events with personal reflection, and I add in practical mental health skills and mental wellness. And I get my inspiration from different places. I get them from reality TV, I'll get them from blogs or whatever's going on in the TV land. And I bring them to you so I can help you to apply those in a practical way. And so today we're going to talk about the Presidential Library of Barack and Michelle Obama. But before we get started, make sure you go ahead and click subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you enjoy what you hear, go ahead and share it out with other people so they'll be able to hear what we're talking about also. So let's get started. I was really inspired this week as I watched Barack and Michelle Obama open up the Presidential Center. But what inspired me wasn't just the beautiful building, it was everything they had to overcome to get there. And even during the week of the grand opening, there was still criticism, negativity, and people saying hurtful things. Yet they didn't stop to defend themselves. They didn't pause the celebration to answer every critic. Instead, they just stayed focused. They stayed focused on their mission that's guided them for years. And as I listened to both of their speeches, something stood out to me. The people who truly knew them weren't swayed by the years of negativity because their character spoke louder than the noise. And I thought to myself, what if they had spent all of those years chasing down every rumor, correcting every lie, or responding to every insult? Would they have had the time or the energy or even the emotional space to build something that inspired generations? And I thought about that. President Obama said something that really stayed with me. He said that the work that we're doing is bigger than us. And that statement made me stop. It made me stop and reflect because if we're honest, many of us knows what it feels like to be misunderstood. We know what it feels like to have people make assumptions about us, to spread untruth, or to question our character. I can even think of moments in my own life when false accusations or hurtful comments or accusations could have easily distracted me. But then I look at what the Obamas created in the middle of all of that, and the lesson I took away is simple. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. Because, see, we can't spend our lives chasing every lie and hoping everyone will eventually believe us. Everyone will eventually believe the truth. Because if we do, we'll spend all of our energy putting out fires that someone else has started. My mother used to always say, if it doesn't come out in the wash, it's going to come out in the rinse. And I've never forgotten that saying because it reminds me that truth has a way of revealing itself over time. We don't always have to defend ourselves. Sometimes our consistency, our character, and our actions speak so much louder than our words ever could. And as a therapist, this reminds me of a counseling technique that I use in counseling with my clients called Cognitive Restructuring. And it's one of those tools that we use to help people stop giving their emotional energy to thoughts that they can't control and to actually begin to focus on things that they can control and focus on things that are true. And here's how it works. First, you have to identify the thought. Notice the story your mind is telling you. Maybe your mind is telling you, everyone believes a lie about me, or I'll never recover from this. So you have to notice what it is that you're telling yourself. Second, you're going to challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this a fact? Or is this my fear talking? What evidence do I actually have of either one? Third, refocus on truth and action instead of asking, how do I make everybody believe me? How do I make everybody understand me? Instead of believing that everyone is against you, start saying, who actually supports me? Who's in my circle? Who do I trust? And then what evidence I have about this. Then start looking at what is in your control and how can I continue to walk in my purpose? And that's where your peace lives, not in what other people think about you, but in what you think about yourself, because you can control that. Another counseling tool that pairs well with this is called the circle of control. So imagine three circles. There's a center circle, and that's what you can control: your choices, your attitude, your words, your integrity, your healing, and your response. Middle circle includes things that you can influence, like healthy conversations, setting boundaries, or offering kindness. The outer circle is everything you can't control: other people's opinions, the gossip, the criticism, the social media, the comments, or whatever someone else has choose to misunderstand you. Peace comes when we stop living in that outer circle and start investing our energy in the inner circle, the things that you can control. And when I think about it this week, that's actually what I witnessed. I witnessed the Obamas looking at what they can control, that inner circle, and ignoring the outer circle, things that they could not control. You see, the Obamas didn't allow all of the outside noise to become their assignment. They stayed focused on the work they believed God had called them to do, and on leaving something meaningful for the next generation. Maybe that's the reminder some of us need today. Your assignment is too important to spend defending yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. People who have already decided to tear down your name, to tear down your character. Your assignment is too important. Keep doing your work. Keep becoming who God created you to be. Keep building, because your purpose deserves more of your attention than your critics ever will. And so I have a question for you, and I invite you to write the answer down in the comments. What have you had to stop chasing so you could stay focused on your purpose? What is it that you've had to consciously say, you know what, I got to let that go because that's stopping me from my purpose? Write it down below. I'd love to hear it. And remember, make mental wellness a choice and not an option.